Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about how we can combine multiple coroutine flow using zip and combine operator. We will also see what is the difference between these two operators. In the previous video, I have covered the basics of coroutine flow. If you haven't watched that video, you can watch it using the I button or the link in the description. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe this channel. So let's start with this video. I'll go to my IntelliJ editor. I will start with a main function. Here I'll write a method which will have multiple flows, and then we will see how we can combine it using the zip operator. So I will call this method zip operator example. I'll create this method. Inside this I'll create multiple flows. I will call it flow 1, and then I'll use a range from 1 to 3, and then I'll use an extension function as flow. I've also talked about different flow builders in my previous video. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it using the I button. So here I'll create one more flow. Here I'll call it flow 2, and here instead of using this extension function, I'll use another flow builder which is flow of. Okay, and here I'll pass some strings. I have to import this. I'll call it 1, 2 and 3. Now I have two flows ready in my method. Okay, so what I'll do next is I'll simply combine these two flows. So for that, all you need to do is you can call zip operator on one of the flow, and then you can pass the another flow as a parameter. I'll pass flow 2 here. If you see this zip operator, it takes two parameter. One is flow, and then another one is a block of code. So here I can pass this block of code. Here inside this block you will get both the flows, so I'll call it A and B. Okay, and then I'll transform it to a string. So I'll simply convert it to a string. I'll say A arrow B. So here inside this block I'm doing a transformation where I'll have values from both the flows, and then I'll show it in a string form. Okay, and then finally on top of this you can call a collect method, and then you can simply print this values. Okay, so now as this is a suspending function, I'll have to use a run blocking to create the coroutine scope. Okay, so if you don't know why we are using run blocking here, you can watch my previous video. I have explained that in details. You can watch it using the I button. So now what I'll do, I'll simply run this example and will show you the output. So yeah, here in the output you can see that we have mapped this numeric value which is coming from flow 1 to the string values which is coming from flow 2. So using zip operator we are able to combine these two values. So now let's try to understand what is the use case of this operator. So if you see, what we have done is we have combined these two flows. So let's say you are calling some remote API to get a list of numbers, and then you are calling another REST API to get a list of strings, and then what you are doing, you are converting those values to a flow, and then what you want to perform some operation on the values which you have received from those two APIs. So in that case you can use this zip operator. So let's say what will happen if one of this flow is producing values much faster than the other flow. So what will happen in that case? So let's try to understand this scenario using some code. So what will I do? I'll simply add a onish operator, and then I'll add a simple delay here of 100 milliseconds. So let's say these elements are getting produced at an interval of 100 millisecond. Okay, and similarly here what I can do for the second flow, I can add some delay here as well. So here I'll add a delay of, let's say, 200 milliseconds. Okay, and then I'll also try to print the time it is taking. Okay, so for that I'll simply add a start time here. Okay, I'll use this system function. We have something called current time in millis. So what I'll do, I'll say, while printing this value, I'll also print the time as well. Here I can simply say print this value. Okay, and also the time taken. So here what I have to do, I have to calculate the end time. So the system.current millis will give me the end time here. Okay, and then I'll simply minus the start time from it. So this will give me the time taken by this block in milliseconds. So we'll see how much time this operator is taking to give us this output. So let's run this example and let's try to understand using the output. So if you see here, we have got the output which is similar to the previous one. It is just that we are also capturing the time. So if you see, the first output is getting printed after 274 milliseconds. So I'll call it time taken. So here if you see in the output, we have got the similar output, but here we are also capturing the time. So the first line got printed after 233 milliseconds, which is the maximum time taken by this flow, right? 200 milliseconds. So what is happening here is, whenever we are calling this to flow, what happens is the first element we receive is after 100 milliseconds, right? And then this second flow will take minimum 200 milliseconds to produce one element. That means this flow, this zip operator will wait for this element to be produced. That is the reason we have approximately 200 milliseconds for this first element. Then for the second element, it took another 200 milliseconds, which is approximately 400 milliseconds. And then for the third element again, we have 600 milliseconds. That means we are getting our elements at the interval of 200 milliseconds, which is the maximum time for this producer. Okay, let's say if I increase this output to 300 milliseconds, then we will start receiving elements at the interval of 300 milliseconds. So let's run this example and see the output. So here if you see, now we have got the first element at 300 milliseconds, then 600, then 900 milliseconds. So this is how this works. So this will wait for elements to be produced from each of the flow. Okay, so this is how zip operator works. Next we will see how combine operator works and how is it different from the zip operator. So I'll simply copy this function. Okay, and what I'll do, instead of using zip operator, I'll use combine operator here. Okay, and instead of zip, I'll call combine. Okay, and everything will remain same. So combine operator is used where we want to perform operation on the recent values coming from the upstream. So what do you mean by that? That means every time you receive a new element from the upstream, this block will get invoked. Okay, let's try to understand this using the output. But before that, let me tell you that this combine operator is similar to the collect latest operator, which I have shown you in the previous video, where on receiving a new element, the block of code used to get cancelled. And you can watch that video using the I button so that you can relate between these two operators. So let's run this example to understand it better. For that, I'll call this combine operator example. I'll comment the previous call and let's run this example and let's see the output. So here we have the output which is starting from 2. So I'll explain you why we haven't got the element 1, but before that let's reduce this time and then rerun this example. I'll come to this output, previous one, but before that let's see this output and let's try to understand how it is working. So if you see here, we got mapping between numeric value to the string 1. So the first element we receive is value 1, which is mapped to string 1, and the time taken is 237 milliseconds. So if you see, the first flow is taking 100 milliseconds for the first element and the second flow is taking 200 milliseconds for the first element. That means we have to at least wait 200 milliseconds. That's the reason we got our first element at 237 milliseconds. Then we got the second element. Second element is 2, and then it is mapped to the previous element of this string flow, right? Which is coming from this flow 2, this value 1, string value of 1. Okay, so we have got value 2 mapped to 1 and it took 244 milliseconds. That means there is a minor difference in these two elements. So why it is happening? So let's try to understand. So let's see this flow again. So it is producing elements at an interval of 100 seconds. So we will receive first element here at 100 millisecond. Okay, and then it will wait for this flow to produce its first element. So here if you see, this element will be produced after 200 milliseconds. Okay, that means at 200 millisecond we will receive the first element, and then finally it will be able to produce this output. Okay, and it is able to print this line. But if you see, during this waiting time, during this 200 millisecond, what will happen? This flow, first flow, will produce two elements. So if you see, at 200 millisecond, what will happen? At the interval of 100 millisecond, we will receive two elements during this time. So while waiting for this element to produce the first element, what happens is we receive two elements. So as soon as the second element from this flow emits, what happens is it again got printed with the first element of second flow. That means this second flow will get triggered, or this first flow will get triggered as soon as it receives any new value from any of this flow. So let's try to understand the third line. So here what we see is we got 3 mapped to 1. That means this is the same value 1, which we got after 200 millisecond, and here the time taken is 347 millisecond. That means while waiting for the second element, so when we will get the second element from flow 2, this 2 will be produced at 400 millisecond, right? After 200 we got the first element, and after 400 millisecond we got the second element. That means during this 400 millisecond what will happen, it will again produce the third element, because it only needs 300 millisecond to produce all 3 elements. That means during waiting for the second element, the third element is produced. That means again this block will be triggered, because we have received one new element, that is element 3 from the first flow. That is the reason it printed this value after 347 millisecond. And then finally when we received the second element from this block at the 400th millisecond, what happened is it printed 3 mapped to 2 at the 441 millisecond. And similarly the third element will be mapped to the third element of the second flow, which we will receive after 600 millisecond, right? That's the reason we can see here the time taken is 643 millisecond for this. Okay, so I hope this output is clear to you. Let's try to run this using 300 millisecond. So now the first flow will emit values at an interval of 100 millisecond, and the second flow will emit value at an interval of 300 millisecond. So let's run this example and see what is the output we are getting. So yeah, here in the output we see that the first element we got is 2 mapped to 1, and the time taken is 337 millisecond. So what is happening here? So if you see, the very first element this flow 1 produced is after 100 millisecond, and flow 2 produced the very first element after 300 millisecond, which means that during this 300 millisecond, while waiting for the first element to be produced from the second flow, what will happen, that flow 1 will produce another element, which is 2, right? So here if you see, the very first thing which we got here is, when we got the first element from the flow 2, the other element of this flow 1 was ready. That means it discards the older value, the first element basically. So it always performs the operation on the recent element. That's the reason we got 2 mapped to 1 at the 337 millisecond. And then the second line, if you see, we got 3 mapped to 1 and the time taken is 340 millisecond. That means while it was waiting for this second element to be produced, at that time the third element from this flow was ready. That means we have a new value to be processed. That is the reason as soon as we receive 3 from the first flow, what it does, it operate on the first element of the second flow. So now till this time we have all the elements from the flow 1 produced, right? Now we are waiting for this element to be produced, which will take minimum 600 milliseconds. So if you see, the next line we have is 3, which is the last element of flow 1, mapped to 2, which was produced after 600 millisecond, and the time taken here you can see is 642 millisecond. Similarly for the third element, it will take up to 900 millisecond. So the last line we got is 3 mapped to 3 and time taken is 944 milliseconds. So that means combine operator always operate on the recent elements received from the upstream. So yeah, that's the basic difference between zip and combine operator. So I hope now you have a clear understanding on when to use zip and combine operator while working with coroutines flow. So that's all about this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and also share this video with your friends. And if you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching.